We'll resume. All right. Well, welcome to PCREIA. Tonight we have a special guest that she is going to get on and tell us all about land. Probably about 30 minutes or so. I'm going to go through our normal agenda. So those of you that do not know PCREIA, if you're new to the group, we are a group of investors all about education, helping each other, sharing ideas, sharing contractors, and different resources. We are here to help each other. We love real estate. I'm a fellow investor. I focus on mobile homes with the land. I've done a little bit of other things, but that is my niche, and I'm sticking to it. We'll get to our corporate sponsors in a few minutes. They're the ones that are going through the banners on the screen here right now. Again, this is going to take about 15, 20 minutes. Susan, if I forget anything, let me know. I'll let you chime in as well, helping me out. You can help me as I usually help Liz out through this. We're going to have the happy hour, we call it, after the meeting. But we had switched to a model where we're sending out a new link, and it was going to be members only on the happy hour. Tonight, we're going to invite everyone. Part of that is because Liz isn't here to take care of those emails, and we're just going to make it a little easier on Susan and I running it tonight. Liz isn't here. She had a prior engagement with some family.
So basically, to reiterate what he's saying, instead of closing the meeting, we're just gonna, like, not actually gonna close it, we're just verbally gonna close it, and anyone who wants to leave, you can leave or stay on. And then everyone's welcome tonight.
It's the meeting after the meeting. So some people after meetings, they go to the bar and they talk longer and they stay up all night. That's the meeting we're talking about. And we will do an official close of the meeting, but you're welcome to stay on. I'm not going to stay on until 1 a.m. like I normally do. I don't know how long Susan's going to stay here, but my wife is in town and she's leaving for a few months as an RN. So I'm going to go spend some time with her. But before we do get started, let's talk about this legal disclaimer right here. Basically, what this is saying, if you haven't read it word for word yet, don't trust anything you hear tonight. This is all for examples. This is all for education. If you don't trust something, you don't think it's right, seek your own legal counsel, your accounting, your finance, your market professional, whoever you think is a professional. We are here giving you examples of what we think is correct and what has worked for Kathy and for everyone else in the group. That's what they're speaking on. But if you are uncomfortable, please reach out to someone else and get it examined.
And certainly don't do what I do.
Yes.
Never do what I do. You do what you do. I do what I do. Those are just examples.
All right. So again, we are here to support each other. This is our first meeting of the month, which we have an educational speaker. On our second meeting of the month, which is the third Thursday. That meeting is for members only, and it's just a round table. It's the idea when we used to meet in person, that we used to sit around at a Village Inn or a different place, have dinner, and just talk. Whatever questions would come up. Some nights we were talking about septic tanks. Some nights we're talking about evictions. Some nights we're talking about problems with the government. It didn't matter. It was whatever needed to be talked about on that night. So that is our third Thursday of the month. We will still be doing that here on Zoom. So if you're not a member, you should join so you can visit that meeting. And again, we're here to support each other. That's what all these banners are here for. Let's hear from some of our corporate sponsors. Mark Carr has his video on, so let's grab him right now. If I can find his flyer. Mark, you want to tell us about the roofing and the contracting world, what you do?
I work in the roofing and contracting world, and thank you very much. So.
You have more to say than that, I know that.
Well, I guess it's probably a lot like what I said last time. When you're looking at these projects getting done, you need to give yourself a little more lead time. We had 2 systems we put in today, air conditioning systems. I had to go 3 different places to get what I needed, the boots, the insulation, the flex. So but the units I bought before to have them on hand, so things could take a little longer, and it's got a lot to do with the materials. So just keep that in mind. And like I always said, so, if you got a project, get 3 bids on it. That's the best thing I can say on that is, if you get somebody else's opinion on what it's going to cost to get something fixed. So
What do you think of the permit world? How's that looking?
that business is kind of booming. I think that some of your code enforcement departments, not to name any names like Plant City, are having their guys run around and look for stuff going on and trying to find somebody, trying to improve a place, and shaking them down and seeing if they have the right permits for what they're doing. So, man, I tell you what, for years and years, I hated pulling permits. I just don't like it. But it's getting to where, since the insurance company is running the sales business, they want to know that they want to see what a permit's been pulled for the roof, and the permit's been pulled for electrical, and permit's been pulled for plumbing and the air conditioning. Well, air conditioning is a little different because there's a data manufacturer on the unit, so they can look at that and tell. But still, they're wanting the permits for this from the insurance company. And then, like I said, also the code enforcement departments riding around looking for trash in the yard. So just keep that in mind. And we're working on a few different projects. We've had to bail some people out. And also, along with the permitting department, we've got some permits we've been in 2 months for multi-craft permits, getting that through Lakeland code enforcement. Last I heard, everybody, they shut back down again because of COVID. We're talking about some pretty simple plans or projects, and it's been a long time. And if you're buying some of these skinny deals, an extra month or two, a month costs you probably 1 to 1.25% of retail and holding costs. So a couple of months extra could really make it tight for you. So, but
That's what I wanted you to share, Mark. Thanks.
And that sounds like, we hear a lot that what happens in Pinellas County slowly makes its way over to us. Just like in the US, what happens in California kind of makes its way up here. And we've been hearing for a long time that Pinellas County, you're really silly to not pull a permit because they will get you.
Oh, exactly. Pinellas, not just Sarasota County. They're really difficult there at Sarasota County too. And
so the good old days of not pulling permits, I don't think is a good idea anymore.
Oh yeah, I bought this 2-1, and then you come in a week later and it's a 3-2. How'd that happen? Well, maybe before it didn't matter, but it started getting to where FHA was say, hey, well, we're not financing this unless you have the permits to show where it's been converted. And then it's getting where it's more the insurance companies that are looking at them roofs and just the main things. I guess they want everything in pretty good shape. So,
well, luckily you can pull permits for people.
But Mark,
it's called project management, is what we call that. Project management.
Mark, you hit on something. I mean, yes, it's good to pull the permits, but we waited, I think, 6 weeks to get one for a drain field. So,
I know. I just went through that in Pasco County. Just a plain Jane septic system we put in over there, and it took us 12 days for them to come up and say, oh, we need this, and then it took another 10 days to get it. And then we did it in 1 day, and it took them 5 days to come back and re-inspect.
Oh, goodness. So
yeah,
good advice to people to plan for that.
I don't know. I guess you get a portable outhouse, because these people they couldn't flush their toilet for 3 weeks. So
yeah. Thankfully, this one wasn't that bad, but it's good advice that you're giving people to plan that, get permits, but they're not coming as quick as they used to.
Yeah, they're not coming in as quick as they're used to. And another thing is, I don't know if he's going to be on the call or not. I went and saw a guy asked me to come over and give me a bid, and I looked at it and I said, this is a pretty severe remodel job for a guy. I only have done a couple of these. Call this guy and just sell it to him. So we called this guy, made 10 grand, and he was done with it. Because with what was going on, it would have been it'd have been a little rough to start off with something like that. But some of these guys that are really old and crusty and been kicked around a lot, like Adrian, they're used to that stuff. They may even like it. And so maybe you've been at it for a while. Have at it. But you're something new. Gosh, do you really want to get into, that'd have been a $50,000 remodel job, and that's a really rough place to start, so.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, one thing people need to be aware of too is Pinellas County, they will foreclose on code enforcement. A lot of counties won't, they started adding them to the property taxes. I see that a lot lately. A lot of the counties, Polk County and that, is they'll add them to the tax bills now. But Pinellas County, I've actually seen them foreclose on code enforcement. They're one of the counties that I have actually seen they will foreclose, they will basically take them to auction for that. So it's just FYI. So for those of you, if you're ever do anything in those counties, Polk County has not. When Marcia Fox came to our meeting years ago, they actually they had only done that in Polk County.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we have a member that has stood up and talked about some pretty big fines that he had
Yeah.
to deal with in the past. So
Oh
it's-
yeah, they'll
I don't
fine
think
you, but they
it's
don't
worth
take your property.
the-
Yeah, not yet anyway.
if you're gonna make it worth your risk, that's
Yeah.
your decision. Remember, we had that disclaimer.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think it's very silly not to have the numbers do it right.
Oh, yeah.
beginning.
Oh, yeah.
So-
No, I'm definitely, but I'm saying if you buy the properties with it already on there, just be prepared. You can't
I
sit
bought a
by
prop
and, yeah,
With open permits, and I got
Yeah.
a discount because of it.
yes.
Well, Adrian, we've talked in the past, and I know we're kind of beating this one up, but the insurance companies now are getting so strict on things. Just having that evidence, you can put a new roof on, but if you don't have the evidence that you
Yeah.
had the permit, they're going to say, yep, that's a nice new roof, but there's no permit, so
Yeah.
you got to redo it.
I bought a trailer over out in the boonies. I think Sasquatch runs around there. But there was a permit open in 2015, but because the permit was never closed, I had to go re-roof that mobile home. And it's for code enforcement. It wasn't even for the title company. It was for the insurance. People were buying it, they couldn't get the insurance. So, well, if you want the rest of your money, you're gonna have to go do it. So we went and pulled a permit and got it done. But
And I know one of our members that had a tear down in addition to a mobile home from 3 owners ago. It was over 30 years old. And they came out and flagged them, and they forced them to tear it down, the addition.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
So I used to think, I bought it, it's previous owners, it's been there a long time. And when he told me that story,
you can, if the guy shows up and he's got a chip on his shoulder, you got to place in him a little bit, but you don't have to do that sort of thing. There's such a thing as an as-built permit, So if you can come back and you can get drawings as is, and you can prove that it's built structurally well, the only thing is that it may have been built 3 owners ago, but it's got to meet today's code. So if you can come in and do you just have to have a permit.
most of the old trailers they're not built to code.
Oh, heck, no. No, well, it's the code when they were built, but we're talking about that addition. You don't know when it was built, so you don't. So the addition would have to meet today's code, but you can do that. We've actually come in and taken these where the handyman ninjas come in a weekend and built something like that, and taking them and putting them through and past them. But there were some things we had to do, and it was almost to the point, almost as much as rebuilding, because we'd have to come in and do the strapping and and show proof that it was done well. And a lot of times, it wasn't done well, but we'd come in and pull the permit and make it right, because the additional square footage has a lot of value on a property, especially on a mobile home.
Yeah.
We just did that with a large home. We had 800 square foot that was built on the home, no permits. And thankfully it was done well. So we hired an engineer. Engineer came out, did the drawings. We went back to the county. We got it re-permitted and all of that. And it was a huge amount of profit for us to do that. And the seller was unable to sell the home because they wouldn't let it go through, because nobody knew how to fix it. Even other investors didn't know how to fix it.
Nice.
So yeah, it can mean some really big dollars.
Yeah.
Which
Kathy,
county? Which
Kathy-
county was that?
Sorry, White.
Which county was that?
Manatee.
Okay, thank you.
But that'll work anywhere. She's absolutely right. If you can bring an engineer in, her blessing was it was built well. That's where you get in trouble is if they don't do it well, foundation problem. But her blessing was it was done well. Then if you can get an engineer to sign off on it or just a few little, that's all you have to do is get it engineered or get the plans.
Well, you know, the engineer's not gonna sign off on unless he's
Yes.
pretty good, because, you know, he has a $10 million liability policy on that, and he's not gonna put his name on it unless he comes out and lays eyes on it, or he has somebody he trusts to come out and do that.
What did he charge you for that, Kathy? Like 2,000,
Just-
2,500?
You're right on it. It was $2,500 and I got the seller to pay for it.
Ah, sweet.
Nice,
Oh, damn.
even better.
She
Oh,
was
even
a
better.
motivated seller. She wanted to get rid of the home. She
Mm-hmm.
had 2 other contracts fall and not another investor in our area knew how to fix that problem. And
I love it.
Yeah, so we
Kudos.
bought that house. We made $85,000 on that deal.
The other investors might be watching right now. Now you done let the cat out of the bag.
So
They can
Kat-
take her
Kathy
course
and
to
Mark,
find out more of her stuff. Her
All my
tricks.
secrets. Oh, man.
is that something that if I went to the permit department and asked them, would they be able to explain that to me? I've run into situations where answers I get from the permit department are not exactly correct. So, I mean, is this something you have to walk them through, or?
You know, I've been to permit department and had the most helpful people you wouldn't believe. And I've been to permit department and people thought they were really helpful and they just weren't knowledgeable, you know, just
Exactly.
it depends a lot on what permit department you're at. Like, I'm sure if it's Pinellas, they'll probably arrest you and carry you down there, but the other department they work with you. So.
The other part of it too, like our permitting department, I do Manatee and Sarasota County, and they like us because we do stuff right. You know, and so they don't bust us. They don't bust our chops when we're on a job. And when code enforcement has to come out and check something so we can get it finished and take it through, we do stuff right so they don't bust our chops.
I think that's
Yeah.
another big reason to do it right. It's because of that. It's a long-term game. You may spend a little bit more
Exactly.
money on some of the rehabs, but it's a long-term game of making your life easier and making $85,000 on a deal one day.
This is really good stuff,
Cool.
but I think this is for the meeting after the meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we could be on this. for a
Let's
while.
get the meeting. I want to hear what Kathy has to say, and then we're going to hear the rest of this stuff after the meeting. You're going to stay with us a little while, Kathy, I hope?
I don't see why
I would
not.
love it. That would be excellent. I'd love that. That would
Yeah,
be-
the Rosemary. I see you're here. I'm just looking
Thank
for
you,
your
Mark, for
file.
sharing. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Rosemary, are you able to talk? Unmute.
Yes, I am. How you doing, everybody?
Wonderful. Tell us about
fantastic.
notary.
So I am a mobile notary. I do basic notarization, what's called general notary work, and I also am a signing agent. So I'm your go-to person whenever you have a deal. You can come to me and I would notarize the documents. A lot of people don't know that you could choose your notary. You could tell your real estate agent to put my information or your notary's information in a contract. You could also tell the title company that you want that particular person as your signing agent. I am also bilingual in Spanish. And then the other thing also is that I am one of the few remote online notaries, which means as long as I'm here in Florida, I can notarize anything for you. Or let me put it this way. I can notarize most documents for you, even if you're in Timbuktu. So
As long
that's
as you have
kind
the
of,
right type of documentation, right? Like
You have
even
to
like
pass
in
a verifi-
Pakistan or wherever,
That
as long
is-
as they have the right
yes,
passport.
correct.
Yes.
Well, not necessarily the right passport, but you have to pass the verification process,
Yes.
which basically means you either have to be a U.S. citizen or a legal resident.
Yes.
Bottom line. So if you have any of those documents, it's the same thing like when you're getting your credit, you get kind of that kind of verification where what kind of vehicle you had, have you lived in any type of addresses, that type of thing. What
So,
else?
Rosemary, are you telling me that one of my friends that didn't go on a bachelor party a few weeks ago because he had a closing on his house that he couldn't have used that as an excuse because you could have closed them remotely
Yep.
while he was at the state?
He could have been in
It depends.
Singapore.
It depends. If he had a notary that is remote like myself, I could do it for him. And the bank has to kind of approve it too. So it's all contingent on between the lender, But as a client, you'd be surprised how much weight you have as a client as well. People don't realize that. You could decide who wants to do what. And it's usually the seller that has more of the weight than the buyer. So that's an added bonus as well. And the other thing is, I'm also the type of notary that, like today was a good example. Someone wanted to get their vehicles registered and they thought they needed a notary. It's like, I could take your money, but that's not what I'm about. So I'm usually that type of notary that would try to save you a buck or two, if you don't have to do it. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. And I've
Awesome.
been doing it since 2002. So I've been a notary since 2002. So I've been here just a little bit.
So when you have those internationals now, how does that work if you had a seller and they were in England or something like that? You know, in Florida, we have a lot of those international property owners. If they were American citizens and they were just happened to live abroad, is that something you could do?
Like I
Okay.
said, they have to be a U.S. citizen or a legal resident alien. You don't have to be a citizen, but you have to be a legal resident alien,
There
because
you go.
what happens is that they're verified through the credit bureau wholeheartedly. That's usually the
Perfect.
case they utilize. So they're verified through the credit bureau to verify your identity. And it does have to be with a computer, no laptop. I mean, take it back. Computer, desktop or laptop, no tablets, no phones. You have to have a camera, and you have to have basically like if you was doing a Zoom. Because there's only certain here in Florida, there's approved platforms that the state approves. So you can't do it through Zoom to try to be cheap. If you're gonna do it, you need to do it right. And anybody and everybody that knows me, I'm all about doing it right, because
Yes,
I'm
you
not about
are.
to do it for anybody. And I like my money too much. So, and I don't like giving up my money. I'm not lying. Everybody that knows how that goes. But I'm a stickler about certain things. A lot of notaries, for example, when they do it locally, don't do fingerprints. I do, because I believe in dotting my I's and crossing my T's. And that's why every time I've done self-taught paralegal, and that's why when I have to go before any court systems, they just look at me. I mean, I literally went toe to toe with the bar association and won by myself. No attorney. So that has a lot to say about my integrity. So everybody and anybody that knows me knows I do things the right way. So you could go cheap or you could do it right. And I'm not expensive, but I'm also not giving it away for free either.
All right,
So
thank you, Rosemary. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
my pleasure.
Oh, let's go to Lonnie. I feel like almost every week, every meeting, we get to hear a little bit more about your staging on the pre-talk. And it looks like Joe left you, so you gotta give us the whole, oh no, there he is.
Here from
Hi,
Tell us
Eddie.
about your staging.
Not getting rid of them that easily.
No, yeah, he's here for moral support. So yeah, I do home staging. I can stage your occupied homes that you live in. I can stage your vacant homes. I can set up and stage your Airbnbs or vacation rentals. And it's just really important to stage. And, you know, even now, especially now, it's important to stage. You don't want to leave money on the table. So you need to have your properties looking their best so you can get top dollar for them. Makes a huge difference in the photographs, and that's where people are seeing your property first is online. So it's really important.
Well, thank you. And you know that not only from the staging side, but you both do fix and flips yourself. So you know it from the investor side and the staging side. So you're not just a stager.
Absolutely.
We can't hear you if you're talking, Joe.
Oh.
There we go.
All right. So just a house across the cul-de-sac sold recently. The people are from Wisconsin. They never saw the house until they arrived. They bought it strictly online. And so just to really cement what Lonnie was saying, making it look great on that online presence is huge. So definitely makes it very worthwhile. And by the way, they got well over what they were asking for. So keep that in mind.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Do we have anyone else is a corporate sponsor? I'm looking through. If you are, unmute yourself and let me know. I don't think we have anyone else. All right, I'm gonna let this play a little bit more. What other announcements do we have? Susan, do you want to tell everyone about your note meetup? Is it next Tuesday? Or are we
Yes,
at-
it's the second Tuesday. I gotta look at my calendar, y'all. 'Cause I gotta cheat here. It's the second Tuesday because the way this month started. So it would be the 13th.
So 2
Yeah,
weeks, almost a week and a half.
Yes, because the first was on a
14th.
Wednesday. So it would be on the, oh yes, it would be on the 14th, sorry.
14th.
Yes, because it would be on the 14th. That's the second Tuesday of every month. I moved it up to 7 because with school and everything like that and people putting their kids, like, Kathy said, people's nights, I think everybody back to work and with the kids and everything, I made it starting at 7. I think I changed it online on Meetup. So it's 7 to 8. So anyone who's interested, I do send out a reminder, but it's on Meetup. It's the Lakeland Note Meetup. It's the second Tuesday of every month. And I'm reaching out to realtors who have investors. And so I'm starting to beat the bushes for them to bring me in the notes that their investors have. Ones that are retiring. I've got one, he's getting some of them together, I hope. So the idea is to bring some of those notes to those folks that come to the meetup so that we can get a first look at them. So
So
that'll be
people
nice.
need to reach out to you directly because that's
Oh.
not sent out through PCREIA. So they either
Yes.
need to go to meetup.com or
Yes.
reach out to you, correct?
Yeah, and my phone number is 863-934-9441. And you can send me a text with your email or whichever you prefer, and I'll send you a reminder and a link to the meeting. So, and I have it on Zoom. So until I used to have it in person and I will eventually go back to that, but right now it's just doing well on Zoom. So it's just a close knit meeting. And if you've never done a note, you just want to come in and listen, you're welcome. I originally started it because I thought at some point everything was going to take a turn and I didn't want anyone who got in heavy or on their real estate deals, they would get stuck with them. I wanted them to be able to write a note and be able to sell that paper in case they got stuck with any properties. So it isn't for those people who just want to buy and sell notes. If you want to write your own notes, carry your own paper, sell it, buy notes. So it's any and all of the above. So you can just come and listen. So everyone's welcome. Again, my phone number is 863-934-9441, and I'll put it in the chat.
Awesome. And we have one of our corporate sponsors that's not here has a class coming up. We just want to announce that Mark Warda and Jack Shea have their land trust class. It is coming up. Liz is going to send out some information on it. She's just promoting them because they're a corporate sponsor. I do not know that PCREIA gets anything from it, but it's $300 and October 23rd. And it's going to be Saturday. So if you haven't been to it before, basically Mark Warda, he is an attorney. He's helped write the land trust law in Florida. He comes in and he talks for, I'll say, about 3/4 of the day, tells you all the laws, everything about legal land trusts. And he walks out of the room and Jack Shea may walk in and tell you some stories of some things that him and some friends may have done that gets a little funny and fun. They're both wonderful teachers. You need a lot of extra coffee because they are great guys, but it is kind of a dry subject. I've been to the class before. It's a phenomenal class, but bring extra coffee. Jack's jokes do not change. I've known Jack for a long time. And he's very proud his jokes have not changed in years. Dave Tony is also teaching a land or a property management class. He's done it for years, once or twice a year in person. His son-in-law basically got him on Zoom during COVID. I went to his first Zoom class. I will tell you that I've been to it in person and I've been to it on Zoom, and it's just as good or maybe even better on Zoom because he can very easily bring in some of his current and ex-tenants. And he just lets them get on mic and everyone asks them questions. That's how much he believes in his system. He does not even know what anyone's going to ask, and people just are able to ask any questions they want. It was phenomenal. Like I said, I enjoyed the in-person just as much as the Zoom. He's going to be doing one September 24th through the 26th. The first 2 days are property management, and the third day is master leasing. You cannot take the master leasing unless you've done the 2 days of property management, because he doesn't feel like you can properly do a master lease if you don't know how to properly manage. Again, I think Liz is going to send that out, or you can just go to datesony.com. We're just supporting him because a lot of us have learned from him. He gives good content. It's not part of PCREIA at all. And then the third class, Liz announced last meeting that I am teaching a class on mobile homes, investing in mobile homes with the land. I think most people on here know me, and I buy them to rent them out. So half the day is going to be me telling you exactly what I've done. And the other half of the day is about fix and flip mobile homes. That's not what I do. So I'm not going to talk about that. I'm bringing in my friend Mark from Jacksonville. That's what he does. He did over 100 of them before he even became an investor. He did that as a contractor. And that's all he's been doing now, pretty much all he's been doing as an investor. He bought 4 within a week and a half, 3 weeks ago. So he's still actively buying and doing them. It's gonna be October 9th in Lakeland, and it's going to be on Zoom or in Lakeland, but most of us are local. If you're not local, JR, you can either come down and visit us or just jump on Zoom.
How do we register for your class, Adrian?
I'll put the link in the chat. Thank you. And any other things we have before we get to our speaker for the night? Anything else I'm forgetting, Susan?
Well, I was looking on here too, because I know that Kathy's gonna have some really good stuff here too. I know we're gonna have some stuff that,
I'm sorry, I'm looking through. Liz sent me all kinds of stuff.
yes.
You guys
I
think
can.
that Liz, sometimes just kind of jumps around? It's because she has a million notes. She's trying to deal with the non-tech side and also the tech side that she'll tell you she's not tech savvy and she doesn't want to be.
No, I think
why
we're
I
ready
try to
there.
help
We've
out
done
that
the
side.
offers and we're
All
gonna
right.
just to hand it over to Kathy. Do
right.
you have the introduction for Kathy?
Yep, I have it pulled up. I
Good
will read
job.
that unless you want to read it.
No, you do that.
All right.
You're good at
Well,
that.
before I read it, I'll tell you, for me personally, I'm very excited about the topic. When we heard that she might talk about marketing or might talk about vacant land, I was hoping vacant land, because that goes very well with the old mobile homes that I deal with, because I get some of them. I'm very interested because it pairs very well with what I already do, and I want to learn more. I've done a few wholesale deals with land, and I want to do more. So, all right, Kathy is an ultimate success story. She spent several years in the banking industry before discovering the real world of real estate. After attending some real estate seminars, this 4'11" mother of 2 got really excited. Before you knew it, she bought and sold hundreds of properties using none of her own money or credit.
Go girl.
Which, going off script a little bit, is very fascinating, seeing you came from the banking world, you actually didn't use the banks. I find that awesome, fascinating. All right, back to script. Kathy holds a degree in accounting and has co-authored books, The Vena Approach to Real Estate Investing, Walking with the Wise Real Estate Investors, and Walking with Wise Entrepreneurs, which include real estate experts Donald Trump, Susie Orman, Robert Kiyosaki, and Dr. Wayne Dyer. She is a national leading expert in finding high qualified, motivated sellers, buyers, and lenders using many types of direct mail. Kathy has been speaking throughout the country and across Canada for 10 years. That's longer than some of us have been in real estate. And she has shared the stage with Ron LeGrand, Dr. Phil, Dan Kennedy, Mark Victor Hansen, Ted Thomas, and Susie Orman, to name a few. Kathy is going to share with you some of the great information tonight, how to turn the word vacant into money, which from a landlord's perspective is impossible. So we are really want to find out what it's all about. Let's welcome Kathy.
Thank you. You need to make me co-host. I can't get.
Yeah, I was thinking through my head as I was doing that. I need to do that same time, and it didn't happen. Let me find you here. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'm
I'm excited to be here tonight. I really am.
Glad to
It's
have
so
you.
cool to talk about a subject that I love in a market that I know like the back of my hand. So
You should be a co-host.
let's see, hold on.
And do you want people to ask questions as we go? Hold them to the end?
They're gonna hold them till the end.
Perfect.
It says security. It doesn't say share.
Oh, shoot.
That's not right.
Make co-host. All right, let me find my share options. Oh, there we go. Let's go up. Let's try it again.
It still says security.
Love technology. Zoom is always updating to help us, and then it makes it. Let me see one more thing before I just straight make you. We can start. I'm all participants. Share screen. All participants. I have it on. All right. Well, I'm gonna make you the host.
Okay.
And let's see if that works.
Yep, it does. It says she's the host. That's what mine says up in the corner.
Hopefully she can share though.
It says mute, stop video, security. Oh, wait. There we go. I got it. I think I got it.
If you can make me a co-host so then I can mute people if
Yeah.
they
Yeah, she's good. She's got it.
There we go. I got it.
perfect. Like I say, if you don't mind making me a co-host, then I can
I'd like to. Yeah, if you don't mind.
yeah, make your life a little easier.
Okay, cool.
That's what I'm used to doing while Liz is taking over. Now I'm doing it all.
There you go. Awesome. Well, welcome everyone and thank you for coming aboard tonight. I am so excited about this meeting. I do a lot of vacant land investing down here in Florida. I know this market better than anybody. So I'm so excited to be here and talk about one of my favorite subjects that I don't get to talk about very much. So do me a favor, grab your paper and your pencil, send the questions to the chat. When I am done, I'll go ahead and grab those questions before we go to the meeting after the meeting, if you don't mind. And then make sure that you stay with us all the way to the end, because I'm going to make a very special offer to some of you and show you how you can do what I do at no cost to you whatsoever. So that's pretty cool. So make sure you stay with us. Go ahead and do mute yourselves for me, folks. And don't draw on my presentation. The last 2 times I've done presentations, somebody drew on them and I don't know how they do that. So let's not do that. All right. So as you know, and for those of you who don't know me, I have been in real estate investing for 20 some years. I have been teaching for over 15 years. So your intro wasn't quite correct there. I've been at it a very, very long time. My expertise is generally in marketing to find highly qualified, motivated sellers for my real estate investing business. And over the last 20 years, we've done hundreds of deals and we have rentals. I do urban commercial. We do like small apartments, things like that. So the first question that I get a lot from people is, how did you get into vacant land? And it was a pure accident. My husband and I were in the investing business, and I have been traveling all over the country, speaking, training, doing long weekends and things like that. And my husband and I kayak. And so we were renting cabins in North Florida, like on the weekends, and we would go up and put our boats in the water and kayak, and then we would come home. And then we started adding up how much we were spending on this little endeavor. And so what we ended up doing was we bought a piece of land for ourselves. And then we ended up, okay, so where our place is 85% mobile home and 15% stick built. So basically what we ended up doing was we built a log manufactured home. So my home is a manufactured home completely covered in cedar log. And then another gentleman that we knew built all the porches on there for us, and all the porches are cedar as well. All these years later, it still smells so good to walk up on that porch. So anyway, so that's kind of what we did. And that's how we got into the vacant land real estate investing business. So our intent was that when Kathy came home from speaking, or we had closings and things like that, that we would drive up to North Florida and we would go through the gate, drive down the driveway, close the gate and chill. Well, I don't know about you, but real estate investing is an addiction. And it's bad, you know. And so we would be driving around, and there'd be all these pieces of vacant land going, buy me, buy me, buy me. And that's how we got into the vacant land business on a full and a semi-full basis. We buy and sell vacant land. I do a lot of vacant land leasing, and that's something I really want to talk about tonight. There are a couple of other gurus in the world who teach buy and flip, and it makes me sick because there is so much money to be made on the leasing end. And once you flip that piece of property, it's gone forever. And so, and we do that. I do buy and flip some, but I really like to keep properties and I like to lease them because most of the time when I lease a piece of vacant land, it's not a tenant problem. We don't have any toilets to worry about and all those kinds of things. So generally, you know, we live in, as you do too, we live in the hurricane capital of the world. And we have a ton of rentals here in Manatee and Sarasota County. And every time I watch that hurricane, you know, map, and there's one coming, and I'm just crossing everything to hope it doesn't come here. So that's one of the things I really like about vacant land, is that's just not a big concern for us. So let's talk about why you should develop a marketing strategy for vacant land. Whoa, to begin with, that was me, sorry. To get highly motivated vacant land sellers contacting you first. Folks, if you can get the owners of vacant land contacting you first, you are going to make a much better deal. Number two, to buy land no one knows are for sale, including the sellers. Folks, these are sellers who have a variety of problems they need to solve. They just have no idea how to do that until they're contacted by you. And I'm telling you that the market, you need to turn your head a little bit, or turn your brain a little bit, and get off of the house market and think about the vacant land market while we're talking tonight, because it is a completely different animal. These are some of the most highly motivated sellers you're ever going to deal with. And we're talking about buying for dimes on the dollar. Okay, so it's not like a house, and it's like being able to turn your money very quickly. And I'll show you some examples of that in a minute. And then have strategies and systems in place that will net you profitable land deals. Okay, does that sound okay with everybody? I hope so. So why direct mail marketing? Because direct mail marketing is part of what we do. Well, number one, you have an endless stream of motivated sellers begging you to take their vacant land off their hands. And I mean that sincerely. You can control the number of pieces going out and when. And I will tell you that opposed to the house market, you don't have to mail nearly the number of vacant land pieces as you would if you were marketing for houses. It's a completely different animal. You are going to create a response mechanism in the body of your letter. Now, nobody in the world does this but me. So you create this response mechanism in the body of the letter, so the deal is pre-screened for you when it hits your desk. So basically, if you don't tell your seller what you want them to do, they're not going to do anything at all. So I tell that seller exactly what information I need from them, and I address their situation And we tell them exactly what we need in order to determine whether or not there's a deal there to be made. So even for some of you who've never done a vacant land deal and have hardly done a house deal, putting that response mechanism in the body of the letter makes a huge difference in your comfort level dealing with that seller. In a lot of the cases, if the sellers have them, they'll send me photographs of the property. So here I've got this photograph of this piece of vacant land. Or sometimes it's a piece of vacant land with a mobile home on it. And sometimes it's a piece of land with an icky mobile home on it. Got a lot of those. So, and we're going to talk about that too, and how to make money doing that. We're going to reach sellers who would never learn about you in any other way. And direct mail for vacant land, believe me, has no competition because nobody's doing it. And it has a huge, huge response rate. You're going to be able to turn small marketing dollars into big profits. So how do you find vacant land deals? Number one, direct mail marketing. Number two, tax certificate sales. We are a tax certificate state here in Florida. So you can buy that tax certificate, and after a couple of years, you can file to get the deed on that piece of vacant land. Tax deed sales. I love tax deed sales. Been to quite a few of them and bought quite a few of pieces of vacant property. Now, I will tell you on the tax certificate sales and the tax deed sales, we work in actually in 3 very rural counties in the northern part of Florida. And the first tax certificate sale that I went to, my husband and I went together, and he was representing one of our companies, and I was representing a different one of our companies. And we were buying them in different entities for different reasons. And so he had a different paddle than I had. And so, they didn't realize we were together. And this is a very manly man kind of thing at these tax deed and tax certificate sales. And so they were just harassing me, yeah, why don't you go home? And how come you're not in the kitchen cooking and stuff like that? I swear to God, it was unbelievable. And so we do a lot of tax certificate and we do tax deed sales. So that's another way that we use to find vacant land. There are some great websites out there for you to find vacant land deals. I do not buy them generally from websites because what we do with direct mail marketing is absolutely number one. And then tax certificates and tax deed sales just turn us so much inventory. But there are a couple of really good websites that you can use. You can look on MLS. There are definitely pieces of vacant land listed on MLS. Landflip.com is another website. Landsofamerica.com is another one. Craigslist is another one. So there are some really good websites for you to use to find the owners of vacant land. Signage. In the rural, I like rural areas, but we do a little bit of everything and we'll get into that. But I like rural areas. So I always use yard signs and vehicle signage. So we have, we buy houses, land, and mortgages on our vehicles. So that's on there anywhere that we go. If I have pieces of vacant land that I'm waiting to close on or waiting to sell or waiting to lease, I put my yard signage on those properties as well. So that's a couple of other ways. You can also use yard signs when you are looking for vacant land deals, because people will put the sign in the yard, for sale and a phone number. So I always call those and follow up because they're for sale by owner types of properties. And then look in the newspaper ads in those more rural areas and urban areas. So that's a couple of different ways for you to find these vacant land deals. There are a ton of them out there. Okay. All right, so let's talk about your targeted prospects. Number one are out-of-state owners. A lot of the vacant land that I buy are either someone who inherited a piece of vacant land and they have no idea what to do with it, or someone who bought a piece of land and their intention was to either bring their RV, build a vacation home, or retire. And it just doesn't happen. So out-of-state owners are really great. Quit claim deeds and estates. As I said, a lot of people inherit these things. They have no idea what to do with them. Tax deed sales, tax certificate sales, and lists. Here's what we do. I'm giving you guys a huge secret of mine. Please don't come into my counties. Kidding. What we do is I actually researched it today in Polk County. When there are delinquent taxes, there is a list in your newspaper in April, because the sale is in May. So the taxes become late April 1st, and then the tax deed sale or tax certificate sale is in May. So what they do is for a couple, 3 weeks in a row, they put a list of the delinquent taxes in the newspapers. Now, I haven't seen yours, but in the counties that I work in, there are 3 counties that I work in Northern Florida, they actually put the site address, the tax ID number, and then they put the person's name and mailing address right in that piece in the newspaper. So the county just gave me my mailing list. Okay, so that's just something else that we do. You can go to the tax collector's office and get these lists as well. So tax deed sales, tax certificates and lists, past due taxes, awesome, awesome, awesome. And then inherited property. So these are some of the target prospects that I like to go after and where we get a lot of our pieces of vacant land. And then senior landowners. These are the people who have decided they're not leaving wherever they were, and they're not coming down to Florida, and they're not going to put that mobile home on there. They're not going to build a home on there. They're not bringing their RV anymore, whatever that might be. So these are some really good target prospects for you to use. Now, let me show you a couple of my deals. Okay, so this is where I was telling you that the money comes back to you really quickly. So I paid $1,200 for this particular piece of land. It's 1.25 acres. And it was just partially cleared. It looks just like it does in this picture. And we ended up selling this property. It had a well. So all it had, I had 1.25 acres, partially cleared, and it had a well. And I bought that piece of land for $1,200. Okay. I sold it on owner financing for $12,950. The buyer gave us a down payment of $2,500 when they bought this piece of property, which sold in about 3 weeks after I got it. Now I just got all my money back on this piece of vacant land, and now I can go buy another. Is that really cool? So we ended up owner financing at 8.5% interest, 5-year loan. And our total profit on that deal, she just paid me off in full 3 months ago. This check came floating in and I wasn't expecting it. So our total profit on that deal ended up being $16,000 on an investment of $1,200 that I got back immediately. Is that cool? I hope so. Here's another one. This is 2 acres. This came from the tax certificates. 2 acres, fenced, power pole, septic. So we bought this piece of land and fenced. I said that. Okay, but you see where the gate is in the front? That's the gate going to our piece of property. So this one was cool. It was 4 half-acre pieces of land. There's another picture of it for you because it's big. Okay, so it was 2 acres. And when we bought the tax certificate, we bought all 4 because it was 4 half-acre pieces that all belonged to the same family and they were all attached. So it was like a square piece of land when we got it. So 2 acres, fenced, power pole, septic, and 2 concrete pads, because what had happened was it was a family that bought this and there was a mobile home and a mobile home and 2 concrete pads. Well, the mobile homes were repoed and then and they didn't pay their taxes. So we ended up buying this property from those tax certificates. We held on to them. We filed for the tax deed. We bought them as a tax deed, 4 pieces of land, half-acre each. We paid 3 years of back taxes on all 4 pieces, which was a total of $1,600. And then we ended up having a title glitch on one of those pieces of property. We ended up having to file for quiet title on that one piece, on the 1/2 acre, which cost us $2,000. We ended up selling that 2 acre plot for $26,500. How did you sell it, Kathy? Well, let me tell you about it. What we did was, and one of the techniques that I use is I will contact home developers and mobile home dealers in our area. So every couple of weeks when I have new pieces of vacant land, I will give them to the mobile home dealer. In this particular case, the mobile home dealer was so excited. And so what they did was they took our piece of vacant land, they paired it with their mobile home, they package financed the whole deal for the buyer, and I got paid $26,500. Is that okay? Hope so. So this is just kind of some of the stuff that we're doing. Here's another one. This was so cool, just for me. 100 by 200 foot lot in the city limits on a paved road. It was zoned mixed use. It was mostly cleared. It was on a paved road. Now, I say that because up where I buy vacant land, paved road is a big deal. Okay, you will make more money on vacant land on a paved road as opposed to one that's on a dirt road. So this was on a paved road. It had no water, it had no septic, but it did have a power pole. I paid $1,500 for that piece of vacant land. We ended up leasing this piece of land. This piece of land was on a main road that was about a half a mile down from one of the main boat ramps in the area. We ended up leasing this piece of vacant land to a canoe outpost. Yay! So for me, that meant free use of their pontoon boats, and it meant free shuttles for us every time we went kayaking anywhere. And we actually are still being blessed by free shuttles when we take our boats out from this company. So we love it. So we paid $1,500 for the piece of property. We leased that property for 17 months at $495 a month. So he paid us first, last, and security. When he moved, he put a metal building on that piece of property to store kayaks, life jackets, paddles, that kind of stuff. He paid us first, last, and security when he moved on that piece of property. I just got my $1,500 back, totally. So he paid us $495 a month for 17 months, and he paid us a total of $8,400. And then he got mad and decided that he really wanted to buy it because he was tired of paying rent. We ended up selling that piece of property for $9,000, and our total profit on that deal was $16,000 plus ongoing perks. So that was really exciting. And this was in an urban area, and it was zoned mixed use. So there's so many different things that you can do with vacant land. Let me just tell you about a couple of other pieces of my vacant land before I go on. One of my favorite stories, and there's actually a couple of other gurus who actually wrote articles about this particular deal. One of the pieces of advice that I can give you when you're buying vacant land, the first thing I want you to do is talk to the neighbors. Okay. Do the neighbors want to buy that piece of land? Do the neighbors want to lease that piece of vacant land? So here's an instance where I talked to a neighbor. The neighbor had an agricultural worm farm, and he wanted to expand his worm farm. And he's an elderly gentleman. And so this was almost 2 acres. It was about 1 3/4 acres. And he said, yeah, I want to lease it. And so I have learned more about agricultural worms in the last 2 years than I ever wanted to know. And so my initial reaction was, well, how are you going to get them out of the ground? I didn't know that agricultural worms, the way that they do it are with tubs and tubes. So there's a big tub and then a tube and then another big tub and a tube. And that's how they raise agricultural worms. So I have one piece of property that is leased for agricultural worm farming. So there's so many things you can do. It's just crazy. Can I buy vacant land anywhere or just where I live? Most of the vacant land that I buy is about 4 hours from where I live normally. So yes, you absolutely can. And there's a few different ways that you can see your piece of vacant land. One is Google Earth. Another is that I use in my business is I have a realtor. So in that area. So actually I have 2 realtors in that area. So what I will do is I will list a piece of vacant land with them every now and then. Or if we put a mobile home on the piece of land, then I'll list the package with them for sale. And then they're willing to do me favors. So if I have a piece of vacant land come up and it's something I'm really interested in, I will have that realtor go buy the vacant land and take a look at it for me. And that helps me to decide whether or not I'm going to buy that particular piece of vacant land. So absolutely, you can buy vacant land anywhere you want to, as long as you put into place some specific criteria in order to be able to buy it and still do your due diligence and all of those things. So how do you fund vacant land deals? Well, folks, again, we're talking about a completely different market than houses. So one, you can use your own money. I mean, I use my own money all the time. If I'm buying a piece of vacant land for 1,000, 1,500, 2,500, $5,000, I'll use my own money for that deal, no biggie. You can put them on your credit card. You can use your Roth IRA. You can use your 401k. Private lenders, seller financing. We do a lot of seller financing. I actually just closed on 2 pieces of vacant land last Friday, both of them on the same day, a week after they went under contract. And both of those went back into the Roth IRA. The money to purchase those had come out of my Roth IRA. Another really funny story real quick. We have had ungodly amounts of rain here in North Florida, I'm sure in Polk County. It's been ridiculous. Well, I had 5 pieces of vacant land that I had just listed, and all of my pieces of vacant land are high and dry. And that's how we sold 2 of them so fast, because people were driving by and they saw that they were dry and they bought them. So it's a new marketing tool. Rain is now my new marketing tool. So that helps me to find buyers for my vacant land. So I thought that was really cool. And my title company up there, this was the most amazing thing, because both of these properties were in Roth IRAs, and we closed a week to the day after they went under contract. I was blown away. I mean, because for a rural area, I thought that was like really amazing. Seller financing, we do that a lot. And then private lenders, if it's a large piece of vacant land. For example, I have a partner, a private lender partner on 166 acres, which is a hunting camp. So there's so many things that you can do with vacant land. It's just crazy. Now, Adrian, especially, write this down. This is for you. So how do I get junk buildings removed at no cost to me whatsoever and get a tax write-off to do it? This is cool. Guys, seriously, write this down. When I discovered this technique, it changed the way that I buy vacant land forever. Okay. If it's got a nasty building, a nasty house that needs to be demolished, a piece of junk mobile home on it, I'm good to go. Here's what we did. So there was a piece of vacant land that I wanted personally, and it attached to the piece of vacant land that we already have. We have a total of 5 acres at this point, where our house is up in North Florida, because we didn't want anything real big just for us. So it's now 5 acres. And at the time we bought it, the first piece of land, it was 3. There were 2 acres next door to us that I wanted. And so the gentleman was in St. Pete, and these are in North Florida. And so I would write him a note every month, hey, when you're ready to sell, I'm ready to buy. Hey, when you're ready to sell, I'm ready to buy. And I would mail him a letter every month. And one month he mailed me back, hey, and he said, the only way that I will finance this piece of, or that I will sell you this piece of land is if I owner finance it $1,000 down and $100 a month until it's paid off. Okie dokie. Yeah. And it had this nasty, nasty mobile home on it, like that. That's what it looked like when I got it, just like that. So I made a few phone calls and I hit a few, I was banging my head against the wall. They couldn't put it on a trailer. They couldn't just hook up and pull it out because it was falling apart. Literally, it was the toilet was on the ground. It had gone through the bathroom. So we've needed to figure out how to get rid of this mobile home. Folks, this is the most amazing technique I have ever learned, and it's fabulous. And I don't care what county you live in. And folks, if you have a house on a piece of property and you want to demolish that house and get rid of it and build something wonderful, here's a really great way to do that at no cost to you whatsoever and get a tax write-off. This is so cool. So here's what we did. I called one of my realtor buddies up there, and I said, his name is actually Buddy. And I called Buddy and I said, hey, Buddy, what am I going to do, man? Because I wanted this piece of property and I got it, but now what? And he goes, oh, that's easy stuff. You're just going to burn it down. I'm like, what? So here's what happens in all areas in Florida. The fire departments have to train new people, new firemen, new EMTs, and all of that. And so they will burn down your house to train their people. And that's exactly what we did. Now, at that time, believe it or not, we were in a burn ban. So we ended up waiting about 3 months before we were able to burn this. And it was I'm not kidding you, it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. They called us on a Thursday and they said, we're coming out Saturday and we're burning it. And I said, okay. And so we drove up to North Florida to the house, and we got up Saturday morning, like at 6:30 in the morning, and there were trucks everywhere. And they teach these kids like out of high school and stuff. I mean, we're talking about young people, 18, 19, 20. There were EMTs training as young as 16 and 17 years old. Most amazing thing I've ever seen, honestly. And so they were all gathered there at 6:30 in the morning. And then here comes the fire department and all the EMTs and everything. And they burned that baby. And they burned it some more. And then at the end, it looked just like that. Because what happened was, at the end, we had left the frame, the framework that the mobile home sits on. And so a scrapper came by and paid us to take it away. This is so cool. Nobody's doing this, folks. And then when we were all done, it looked like that. So is that pretty amazing? Absolutely. It changed the way I buy vacant land forever, forever. Okay, so that's a golden nugget tonight that I share with you. All right, so let's talk about results from direct mail to find vacant homes. This is one of my mailings, 147 letters. That's what I'm saying to you. These mailings are not huge. 19 leads, 13% response rate. That's about average. We bought 7 pieces of vacant land. We sold 3, we leased 4. Now, and the way that we do that, the way we make that decision has to do with our business model, you know, with what's going on with our business. It has to do with how I got the piece of vacant land. So if it's owner financing, or, you know, it just depends on how, you know, if the land came to me for $1,500, it just depends on how the piece of vacant land comes to me as to whether we sell it or lease it. So we do some of both. Okay, so I'm absolutely advocating selling vacant land. Again, you can hook up with a mobile home dealer, and you can buy a mobile home from them and have it installed on your piece of vacant land, and you can sell it. So there's a couple of different ways to do that. And I know I'm blowing you away with a lot of information in a very short period of time. So please write down your questions, throw them in that chat room, and I'll go ahead and answer them when I am done. Now, when should I start investing in vacant land? Well, now, and right now would be really good. Couple of reasons for that. One is we're getting real close to tax bills again. Tax bills come out in November. I want you to have your system in place so that you're starting to get some of these deals coming at you right away. Number 2, if you are a real estate investor, I want you to implement multiple streams of income. This is another income stream for you to get more cash coming in, cash and cash flow coming into your business. And folks, this is absolutely an untapped market. I have like no competition. This is an untapped market. There are so few people working the vacant land business, and you really should. It's absolutely awesome, awesome. So now and right now would be really, really good. So let's talk for a moment about selling vacant land. Okay, so now we got this great piece of vacant land and we want to sell this piece of vacant land. How are we going to do that? Number 1, we're going to put some signage on that piece of vacant land. Now, I will tell you that we do use the signs in the ground, but if you have trees on your vacant land, get a sign nice and high up in a tree so people can see it when they're driving by. That's just another piece of advice for you. List it on Facebook, Trulia, Craigslist. You can list with a realtor. I do list some of my pieces with realtors. You can offer owner financing. I love doing owner financing on vacant land. My contracts are pretty specific as to what they can and can't do with it. Like I don't want a whole bunch of tires and stuff like that. You can auction your vacant land. That's another way to sell vacant land. You can work with a developer or a home dealer to sell your piece of vacant land by packaging it with a home. You can work with commercial developers. Let me tell you how I did that totally by accident. There was this standalone retail store, and there are these standalone retail stores in every city, rural, urban, suburban in the country. Not going to tell you who it was, but they're everywhere. And so this particular company was building one of these things somewhere that I didn't want it. And so we raised a fit because it was near one of my other pieces of property, and I raised a fit. And we raised a fit, and we went to the county, we went to the city, we went to all the commissioner meetings, we did all of that. We yelled and we screamed and we hollered and we jumped up and down. And they actually finally paid us to go away. Kid you not, they paid us to go away. But I ended up creating a relationship, believe it or not, after all of everything that went on, we created a relationship with this company. And what they do is they buy the piece of vacant land, they put the standalone store on it, and then they lease the whole thing. So basically they're kind of doing sort of what we do. So if I find a piece of vacant land and it's on a corner, and if it's in a really good area, I call them first with that opportunity. And we've done just a couple of those deals. So that's just another way to sell vacant land. And then, of course, there are awesome websites, again, for selling vacant land. There's landflip.com, there's ranchflip.com if you have a large enough piece that could be a ranch. Again, there's Craigslist, landsofamerica.com, homesandland.com. So these are just a couple of other sites that you can work with if you're selling your vacant land. So and then make sure that you talk to the neighbors. I didn't put that on here. I should have. Talk to the neighbors first, because if they need or want that piece of vacant land, you're going to get full retail for it, guys, or you're going to own or finance it for full retail or more. So make sure you're talking to the neighbors. All right. Leasing vacant land strategies. This is so much fun. Talk to the neighbors. Once again, just like I did with the guy with the worm farm. Billboard companies, it's another real, now there's some specific criteria that you have to meet, but I work with billboard companies and we've done it more than once. We've bought fairly small pieces of property on main roads. I have another one that's 1.5 acres on a main road. I have a billboard company on that one. You can lease option the piece of vacant land. Storage, so the storage could be a storage building, it could be RVs, it could be boats, so you have some options there. Parking. I have a piece of land in Manatee County. So, you know, Bradenton is like a fairly suburban kind of an area. And I have a piece of land because we are near one of the stadiums. And every time there are games at that stadium, we charge for parking. And so that kind of pays for my taxes and everything for the year. And we do that every time there's a game, and we make $15 a head for parking. So I like that. Pasture land. I have a piece of land that is leased right now to someone who has goats. They fenced it in. So I thought that was kind of cool. So that's just another idea. Urban nurseries. This is cool. With an urban nursery, what they are looking for is not somewhere to plant things, but somewhere to put potted plants. So they're not even tearing up my ground or anything. They are bringing, they have a building and they have like potted plants there, and that's what they sell. And I kind of like leasing vacant pieces of land that feed my own hobbies. And I am a plant enthusiast. I love this particular lease. Camping and glamping, landscape companies. This is cool. Sometimes a landscape company needs extra space to store things. So they need to store pine straw. They need to store rock. They need to store log. They need to store the rails, you know, forget what they're called. Anyway, so they need extra storage. And so that's another way for you to lease a piece of vacant land. Pine straw. Pine straw is interesting. So now you have somebody who's going to come and clean up your piece of vacant land because all of the pine needles have dropped off of the trees, and they're going to pay you for it. So I kind of like that. Now they have to be specific types of pine trees. That's a different seminar. Solar. Now, again, in Florida, solar arrays. We don't have a lot of wind farming here in Florida, but other areas of the country, Texas, I have students in Texas who are doing wind farming. Hunting camps down here in Florida, perfect. Check your own demographic. Look at whatever demographic you live in and see what looks really cool to you. You may have different things even in Florida than I do where I live, or where not only where I live, but where my vacation home is and the area where we buy vacant land. So look at your own demographic and see what kind of opportunities are available for you. Now, there are also long-term land leases. Now, when you're doing solar arrays or wind farming or hunting camps, you're talking about a longer term lease, okay, like 30 years. So just kind of keep that in mind. So other long-term land leases might be for farming, pasture land, or businesses that want to lease from you. So those are a couple other ideas. Now, here's another one that I really like that none of my competitors are thinking about: temporary leases. I do a ton of temporary leases. I have a couple of pieces of land on main roads. Now, the same piece of land that houses the billboard, lots of room for temporary leases. So I'm double leasing that one. Are you getting some really cool ideas here? I hope so. So what we do: fireworks stands, veggie stand, Christmas tree lots. During the Super Bowl, I had a guy contact me and he wanted to put an apparel stand. So he was selling like t-shirts and Buccaneers flags and all of that. And then I have a food truck that also comes like once a week on that same piece of vacant land. So I'm actually double leasing this piece of vacant land, which is cool. And then I have a couple of other pieces of vacant land that we do temporary leases on as well. Archery ranges, political signage. There are, I mean, that's just part of the list. There are so many more. And political signage is really funny up in our area. What they do is they will get a semi truck, the trailer part of the semi truck, and they will put their whole political advertisement on the semi, and then they park the semi on the piece of vacant land. And that's, and they lease the piece of vacant land during the political, during the electoral periods, so that they can advertise their that they're running for office. So that's some cool ideas for leasing vacant land. But can you see why I'm so excited about the leasing end? I mean, there's not a lot for you to worry about. There's just not a lot of, your taxes are paid by your leases. There's no toilets to fix, no plumbing to fix. I mean, all that good stuff. Hurricane comes through. Oh, darn, I lost another tree. It's awesome. Absolutely awesome. All right. So let's talk about increasing the value of a piece of vacant land. So this is interesting. Number one, get a survey or figure out where the markers are. If a person can look at your piece of vacant land and they can see exactly where the markers are, then they're going to want to buy that piece of vacant land. Now, I did a podcast this week with a gentleman who is actually one of my students in Texas. And he cued me in on an app that I'm not going to release yet. But as soon as I check it out and make sure that it really works, it's going to be another really incredible tool for you to figure out where that piece of vacant land is exactly. So and as soon as I do that, one of the things that I do is I send out emails, newsletters to all of my students on a regular basis, letting them know about new resources that I get. If this app is really what he says it is, I will be sending a newsletter to all my students very soon. You can clear it or clear it a little bit. So a lot of times what we'll do is we won't clear the whole lot, but we'll clear like some of the underbrush, like the first half acre or so back. So it's got curb appeal, just like a house would. Okay, just kind of be thinking about that. If there's like junk in the yard, like people have been throwing cups out the window and stuff like that, we get all that cleaned up. Then maybe we'll mow, maybe we'll have the front part of it mowed. It's just a matter of curb appeal. Okay. On larger parcels, you can have someone come out and do a plan to subdivide the piece of land and then to sell the land with the plans. So that's another way to increase the value of a piece of vacant land. Change the zoning. Where I live in North Florida, we have a lot of agricultural and a lot of residential. It is very easy for you to change the zoning to light commercial. So then you can put, you know, like a doctor's office or a veterinarian's office, or, you know, like a yarn store, something like that. That's like what they call light commercial. So that's another way to increase the value of vacant land, is to simply change the zoning. And it's not that hard to do. And then if you want to add amenities, adding a power pole is the least expensive thing you can do. And that adds a lot of value to your property. So that's something else that we do. Concrete pads, water, septic tanks, whatever, if there's gas lines where you live, you know, whatever the amenities are where you live, or, you know, looking to make sure that it has city water available if you have city water. Where my pieces of vacant land are in North Florida, and most of where I buy is not city water. So we're buying parcels that are mostly septic, well, and power pole. So that's just kind of the way that I do it. So look into what those amenities are where you are buying vacant land, and then decide how much of you want to do that. I will tell you that if you add power, or you add a septic or well, it adds a lot of value to that piece of property. So that's just another idea. Now, I always suggest doing your due diligence when you buy a piece of vacant land. Now, when we start working together tonight and you invest in my vacant land system, I cover this in detail, real detail, so that you know exactly what you need to do. So the first thing that you want to do is take a look at the piece of vacant land. Okay, what's it look like? Is it all sand? Are there a bunch of holes in it? Look at the topography of the land. Is it like all rock? If you're not in Florida and the piece of land sits on a hill, like, does it sit like completely up and down? So you want to look at those things. What's the current zoning of that piece of vacant land? Would it be a check with planning and zoning, and find out if you can change that zoning? That's like one of the easiest ways that you can increase the value of a piece of vacant land. So that's part of your due diligence. You want to also check your current zoning, because you want to make sure that zoning matches what you want to do with that piece of vacant land. Are there liens? Are there tax obligations? You need to look into that. What kinds of utilities does it already have? What kind of utilities are available in that area? Are there usage restrictions? So for example, if you're buying a piece of land in a subdivision and there's a homeowners association, obviously there are usage restrictions. So just be cognizant of that when you're buying vacant land. Is there access to the land, or is it landlocked? This is cool. We recently bought a piece of vacant land, another piece of vacant land, to attach to the piece of vacant land that I already own, that our house is on. It's landlocked, but it's not landlocked anymore, because all I have to do is take down my fence and add it to my piece of vacant land that I already have. So, and then check, because even if a piece of land is landlocked, it's possible to get an easement or private road to it. So these are things you need to look into. It can it be subdivided? That's cool, because if it can be subdivided, that increases value. What do the neighboring properties look like? This is important. If you've got a really nice piece of vacant land and you've got two pieces of garbage on both sides of you, and there's nothing you can do about it, that is going to affect the value of your piece of vacant land. So when we start working together tonight and you go through my manual, you will see in there that I completely cover due diligence for you. And I go into it in extreme detail, so I can really help you when you're buying vacant land. Where do I get the list? This is the easy part. The first thing that you can do is to simply go to your property appraiser's office or your tax collector's office and get it. Very, very simple to get these lists. Also, when we start working together tonight, I provide list brokers for you who can provide you with lists of specific pieces of vacant land that are available in areas that you want to buy in. So I've taken that obstacle out of the equation for you as well. So There are some keys to your success or failure when you're marketing and buying vacant land. Number one, you want to target the right prospects. And we've already talked about that. So within each one of these lists that I mail to, there's specific criteria that we use to hone in and hone in and hone in to bring us the most highly qualified, motivated sellers, no matter what list we are using. So targeting the right prospects is really important. Number two, you've got to make it easy for the seller to respond to you. Folks, this is just a really small rebellion on my part. Stop changing your email addresses. Some of you change your email address like you change your socks. You know how many deals you're losing by doing that. I have the same email address that I've had for 20 years, and I'm now paying AT&T a monthly fee for the honor of keeping their stupid email address. But I am getting sellers who contact me today, next month, next year, 2 years from now. I don't want to miss out on any of those deals. Folks, this is a business. You are running a business. Whether you are investing in houses or vacant land, you're running a business. You've got to start treating it like one. So I want you to make it easy for the sellers to respond to you. So you're going to give them a phone number. You're going to give them a fax number. You're going to give them an email address. You're going to give them a mailing address. What? Fax? We don't do that anymore. Yes, we do. We test and we track every single thing that happens in this office. 11% of the total deals that I get come in here by fax. Why do you think that might be? Because the seller's got to provide me with the information that I need in order to determine if there's a deal there. So their options are mail, email, and fax. Okay, so you still got people that are going to contact you that way. The more ways you provide a seller to contact you, the more of them are going to, because you're going to be reaching them at whatever their comfort level is. And that's super important to the success of your business. Number three, you've got to use the right language and the right letter. Okay, so if you are mailing to someone who inherited a piece of vacant land, it's going to be a different letter than one you're mailing to someone whose piece of vacant land is being foreclosed on. And that happens. So each of the letters that I use is specifically focused to the seller that I'm trying to work with. Use a proven list. Use something that you know works. That's really important. I don't want you out there reinventing the wheel. Use a proven system. Use something you know works, so you're not out there reinventing the wheel. And be consistent with your marketing, guys. Even if you're doing a little bit or a lot, you've got to be very consistent with what you're doing. Back in the very early days of our business, what would happen is we'd be working on a couple houses. And we'd be working on those houses. And I tell my husband, we're not doing any more mailings until these 2 deals are done. And then those 2 deals were done and there weren't any more. And our business did this. Not good. See, these are some of the early lessons in the day. So you need to be consistent with your marketing. So whether you're just doing a little bit or whether you're doing a lot, you need to do something to keep it consistent. 7, take the time to follow up with semi-motivated sellers. This is just as true for vacant land as it is for houses. Folks, when a seller says to me, oh, wow, I don't know, I'm not sure. All they're saying is not today, but can you follow up with me every 60 days or 30 days until I change my mind? And if a seller says to you, are you out of your mind? I can't take that offer. Get your ego out of the equation. All they're saying to you is no, not today, but can you follow up with me until I change my mind? And there's 2 ways that we do that. Okay, 2 ways that we follow up with semi-motivated sellers, both in our real estate, in our house business and in our vacant land business. One is we use an autoresponder system. So you write the email one time and it follows up with that seller every 30 or 60 days, however you set it. And the email that I send is very simple. Hey, George, when you're ready to sell, I'm ready to buy. Hi, Ann, when you're ready to sell, I'm ready to buy. Hey, it's Kathy again. When you're ready to sell, I'm ready to buy. That's it. Really, really simple. For the folks who do not have a computer, we use a postcard system to follow up with these semi-motivated sellers. Same message. Hey, it's Kathy again. When you're ready to sell, I'm ready to buy. And so that's how we follow up with semi-motivated sellers. If you take the time to follow up with a semi-motivated seller, you're going to make thousands of dollars more in your real estate investing business. Okay. All right. The majority of the deals that you're going to buy are going to come from your first or second contact with these sellers. So something else that I suggest that you do is residual mailing. So mail them once, keep track of your lists, and then 30 or 60 days later, mail them again. If it's during tax season, like tax bills came out November 1st, from November to March, you're going to follow up every 30 days. We do the highest number of vacant land deals in our business throughout the entire year from October to May. Okay. And it's because those property tax bills are a real motivator for somebody who doesn't know what to do with that piece of vacant land. Okay. Now let's talk about response rates from sequential mailings. Folks, I'm telling you, the response rates from direct mail to vacant land owners is huge. First mailings, 8 to 13 all day long, all day long. Second mailings, 14 to 18% to the same list. Folks, residual is key. And I will tell you that during COVID, during the last year and a half, our response rates and the number of deals we have done from vacant land have almost doubled, because now they're sitting at home and they're worrying about this piece of vacant land they don't want. And they really could use some extra cash right about now. So I'm telling you, this is a completely different animal than buying and selling houses. And it's absolutely amazing. So here's a letter from one of my students. This is Mike. He's down here in Florida. He mailed out 200 letters to the out-of-state vacant landowners, 21 responses, 6 deals. Hey, Kathy, just wanted to let you know my success using your vacant land system. As you know, I just got it recently and did my first mailing of 200 letters. I've gotten 21 responses so far. I never thought it would be that high. And I've got 6 land deals under contract. You were right. These sellers are really motivated. I will let you know how it all turns out. This is amazing. Thank you so much, Mike B. And he's in Florida. And this just happened within the last 60 days. So we're still tracking to see what his numbers are going to look like. And when I find out, I will update them. This is Jeff. Jeff is also down here in Florida. Kathy, I got your vacant land system a couple of months ago and decided to try it out. Thanks for the quick start guide. That was super helpful. One of the things I did in my vacant land system is there's a quick start guide in the beginning of the system that explains to you all the steps that you need to take to implement everything. And everybody's finding that to be a super, super help to them getting started even more quickly. I sent out my first mailing of 100 letters and I got a vacant lot under contract for $1,000. The owner had passed away and the heirs live out of state. See, this is very typical of what I find too. They were tired of paying taxes on it. I decided to flip this one to another investor that I know for $6,500. Not a huge profit, but for 100 letters and about a half hour of my time, I'm good. I'm ready to do more deals. Thank you so much, Kathy. So he mailed out 100 letters, bought it for $1,000, flipped it for $6,500. So that's some of the, and some will be small deals and some will be bigger deals and some will be really big deals. It's entirely up to you. If you're a beginner investor or you've never done a vacant land deal before in your life, this is definitely the way to start out. Now, I know you're asking, do I have to do all the work? No, the more minutia you get out of your lives, the more quickly you're going to start making some big money and big deals. Now, I will tell you that with the vacant land mailings, they are much smaller than what you would anticipate with the house mailings that we do. So we're only mailing a couple hundred letters at a time or per month. This is not a big one, guys. So here's how to put marketing on autopilot. Number one, you are going to implement the targeted mail campaigns. Each of you is in a different area here in Florida and maybe other parts of the country because we've been marketing this everywhere. And so you get to pick and choose where you want to start. Number two, have a part-time person do the work for you. This could be a stay-at-home mom, college student, one of your older children. high school student, lots of folks who are looking for part-time work, stay at home kind of work. So it's very easy to find this person to do the work for you. You are going to mail the letters. Folks, this is the last check that you have to make sure the work got done. And you also know when they go to the post office, so you can start tracking your results from any particular mailing. And then we're going to start working on those responses from those sellers. Guys, don't let them just sit on your desk. Contact these sellers and let's get some deals done. And then we're going to do some deals. And then we're going to put systems in place that will do it over and over and over and over. So does that sound pretty simple? Yes, it does. What if I could make it easier for you? Because I can, and I will. You can sell or lease your vacant land. I have created relationships with companies who will do all of the mailing for you. All you do is provide them with the letter and the list, and they will do everything else for you. Is that pretty awesome? So now you have options, and this is a system you can grow into. So you can do the mailings yourself. You can hire someone to do the mailings for you, or you can use one of the companies that I've created relationships with to do the mailings for you. So you've got lots of options, and that's what I was after. Here's another one. This is Ted. Ted is down here in Florida, and he was so excited about what he was doing that he ended up jumping into my coaching program. So that was really cool. Hey, Kathy, I just wanted to send you a quick email to update you on my progress since implementing your vacant land system. I was so glad to be one of your students and get this system since I'm also already a Marketing Magic student. I can't believe how much momentum is going already. I've gotten 15 responses this week, and I've written offers on 3 of the ones from last week so far, and 2 of those contracts came back signed from the sellers. Thank you for putting together such an amazing system, and thanks for answering all of my questions. Your system is going to increase my bottom line in a serious way. And this is Ted. And Ted is actually north of Levy County up that way. And so Ted actually jumped into my coaching program, and I'm working with him directly. So let's talk about what my combined results have looked like in the last 12 months. Overall, we got about a 13% response rate on our mailings. I think that's amazing, but it's normal. We ended up selling $397,000 in land sold, plus the monthly income from the residential leasings and the ongoing profit from our owner finance properties. So that's just cash in the bank every single month. So I don't sell a lot of my property. We sell some. We sold $397,000 worth in the last 12 months. And again, vacant land is not part of my full-time business. This is something we do strictly on the side. It's an extra source of income for us. I am all about multiple streams of income in your business, and this should definitely be one of them. So I know the next question that you're asking is, so Kathy, how can I start making the same big profits and income that you do? And how can I get my money back on your system so there's no cost to me? Now, folks, I know my system works, obviously. So I'm only going to make this very special offer to just a few people on our call tonight. Here's what we're going to do. Go to www.vacantlandgold.com. www.vacantlandgold.com. And the investment in your system is going to be $1,197 tonight. However, when you use coupon code VACANT, you are going to get an additional $200 discount. Don't tell anybody else except the people in the club what that discount code is. This is for you folks, making your total investment only $997. Or you can call our office and order direct, 941-792-5390. Our office is open right now. My assistant is here and ready to help you. So you can go to www.vacantlandgold.com. The coupon code is down in the area where you put your credit card information in there. It will ask for the coupon code. You put the coupon code VACANT in there. It will give you an additional $200 discount, making your total investment only $997. Or you can call our office directly, 941-792-5390. Now, here is what you are going to learn. Folks, this system is complete. You're going to learn how to have an endless stream of motivated sellers begging you to take their land off their hands. You're going to learn what contracts and what disclosures to use. It's all in there for you. You're going to learn how to increase the value of vacant land. You're going to learn 10 ingenious ways to sell your vacant land. You're going to learn 24 additional ways to lease vacant land. You're going to learn how to do deals with tax liens and tax deeds. And let me tell you on that point, I had one of the leading tax guys in the country, tax liens and tax deeds, go through my manual before it was printed to make sure that everything was right and we covered every point, and we did. So just so you know that. You're going to learn how to find the sellers who don't want to be found. You're going to learn where to get the money to buy the vacant land. And you're going to learn how to physically find a piece of vacant land. So I teach you exactly what a property tax ID number is and what each section of that property tax ID number means and how to physically find that piece of vacant land. I've covered all of it in there for you. So let me tell you the system contents. There are complete step-by-step direct mail campaigns and the directions to do them. Complete directions to automate the system and get it into someone else's hands very quickly. There is a quick start guide in there, which many of you have my marketing magic system. And I did not do a quick start guide in that one. I should have. But I thought about that when I did the vacant land product. So I go through step by step in the first couple of chapters and kind of outline everything and explain it all to you. So it gives you a much more comfortable place to start. So that quick start guide, I've had nothing but compliments from every student. And I've honestly never had a single return on this product ever. So I'm really proud of that. I include all the forms for you, the contracts, the evaluation sheets, the letters of intent, the disclosures. It's all in there for you. There's also a resource kit. The resource kit includes the list brokers and the mail companies to do all of that for you. It also includes companies who will do all your advertising pieces. So if you need business cards or you need signage or you need apparel, I have negotiated discounted pricing with companies to do all of that for you. And all of that is in that resource kit for you. I also talk about how to buy tax certificates and tax deeds. So your investment is going to be $1,497, which I told you it wasn't. I'm offering a special discount, folks, tonight to the first 5 people of $300, making that total investment $1,197. And then when you go to www.vacantlandgold.com and you use the coupon code VACANT, you're going to get an additional $200 off, making your investment only $997. Folks, if you Google me or you go on my website or anywhere else, you will not find the deal that I am doing for Polk County REIA tonight. It's wonderful to be home. You guys are my home boys and girls. I know this market better than anybody in the world, and I want you to be super, super successful. So I am making a very special offer tonight. It is only going to be $997. If you would like to call the office so you can be one of the first 5, the phone number is 941-792-5390. We can take your order for you here as well. When you take action right now, and Liz and I never had a chance to talk about this, I am also going to include an additional $5,500 in bonuses for those first 5 motivated investors who take action right now. I want to work with excited, motivated investors. And I'm going to show you how you can own the entire system at no cost to you whatsoever. All right, so bonus number 1. the How to Make Thousands Following Up with Semi-Motivated Sellers CD. So I explained to you how to use the autoresponder system. I explained to you how to use postcards. I explained to you how to use software in your business to follow up with your leads and your deals and your buyers and your sellers and all of that. Really, really important to be very, very organized. You're also going to receive my personal $1 million resource kit. I gave this a value of $497. In my personal opinion, it's absolutely priceless. Once again, this is where you're going to find the list brokers. This is where you're going to find hard money lenders. This is where you're going to find the companies to do the mailings for you, discounted pricing on all of the things that you need for your business, business cards, apparel, signage, all that good stuff. So that's a $497 value. You are also going to receive another bonus called the Awesome Power of the Credibility Kit. This is a $149 value. So we go through and we explain to you what a credibility kit is and why you need to have one in your business to do even more deals. So we doing okay so far? I hope so, but wait, there's more. Folks, you get me for 1 full year to work directly with me by email, to ask any question that you might have on your marketing to find these pieces of vacant land. You will get my personal email address. There is no other guru out there that does that, okay? They call me the fastest guru in the north, south, east, and west. Because I'm either on my computer in my office, or I have my laptop with me, or my iPad or whatever, so I can answer your questions for you very, very quickly. And that is a $4,500 value. I am only going to offer that to the first 5 folks tonight because I don't want to like overfill my support system. So we do a limited number of these for each event that I do. So the first 5 folks will get me for 1 full year to help you with your marketing to find vacant land. The next bonus that you are also going to receive is an entitlement certificate. Folks, this certificate entitles you to a 30-minute consultation with my personal CPA. My personal CPA is a financial planner. He is a real estate investor of over 40 years. He is a CPA of over 40 years. He is also one of very few in the country who is also admitted to practice before the U.S. tax court. Do me a favor. This is a $250 value. This is exactly what he charges for a consultation. So make sure you write down all the questions that are burning on your heart before you make that appointment. Pick his brain. The man is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I have been using him for over 30 years myself because I was in a business that a lot of people didn't understand before I got into real estate investing. I was in the financial sector. I worked in the banking industry, and I also worked in the barter industry, and nobody understood barter, but he did. So he really, really knows his stuff. So this is another super, super special bonus that we're going to include for you tonight. So I also offer a 10-day free look enrollment plan. Folks, give us a deposit tonight of $997, knowing that if my system isn't every single thing that I told you it was going to be, you have a full 10 days to return it for a full refund. Now, your system will be shipped from Florida, USPS Postal Priority. So it's not coming from very far away. I'm in Manatee County, so you're not that far away from us. So even those of you who are in other parts of the country, other parts of the state besides Pasco, this is awesome. So is that fair? Yes? Well, how many of you would take my system tonight if it was absolutely free? Would anybody do that? I wish I could hear the yelling and screaming and excitement out there tonight. Here's what I am going to offer. And the reason I'm going to make this offer is because I know that you folks are going to get out there and get some vacant land deals done. So for the first 5 people, I am going to offer an incentive rebate. You now have no excuse not to do this. Folks, when you do a deal using my direct mail campaigns within the next 12 months or from a tax deed sale, and you send me a copy of your testimonial letter, proof that you did the deal, and a copy of your profit check, I will refund your entire investment of $997, and you get to keep the system and all of the bonuses. Now, why would I be dumb enough to do that? Folks, this is the best way that I know to make you successful, and not put it in a closet and not put it on a shelf and never look at it again. I want you to be super, super successful. And I am willing to spend a year of my time to help you to do that. And then on top of that, you have an incentive rebate where you can get your money back to do exactly what you're supposed to be out there doing, which is finding motivated sellers and finding more deals. This system is the most complete vacant land system that there is out there. It will teach you how to make profits buying, selling, and leasing vacant land. I've included the contracts for you. I've included the disclosures. I've included the evaluation sheets. I've included all the directions that you need to be very, very successful in your vacant land business. So you must be one of the first 5. You must take action right now. You will receive my vacant land gold system, all of the discounts and the bonuses valued at $6,000, and the rebate certificate. You need to go to www.vacantlandgold.com. The whole deal is laid out there for you. Use that coupon code VACANT and get an additional $200 off of the cost of the system, making your total investment only $997. Or you can call our office at 941-792-5390. So Adrian, I do see we have some questions. I'm going to go ahead and grab those questions real quick. Let's see what we got here. Going up. Oh, actually, let me go. I'm going to go ahead and put a message in with the website also.
Yeah, I put one in, but yeah, throw it in there as well. So then they have it closer to the bottom.
Yeah, I'm right here. Say that again.
I put it in there, but put it in again so that they have it from you closer to the bottom as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, put them in the chat, or I would even say, you know, once you get through these questions, if you want to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Well, great information.
Thank you. Let me throw this in here real quick. And then I'll go to there we go. And then let me go up here and see what we got for questions. Yeah, I made money by contacting a friend at a mobile home dealer. Absolutely. Okay, so you said buying a mobile home and putting it on the vacant lot. Didn't catch the full statement. So you can actually buy your own mobile home, put it on one of your vacant pieces of land, and you can lease it, you can owner finance it, you can sell it, retail it outright. So you've got all kinds of choices. That was just another idea that I had for you. Do you have to deal with Dodd-Frank on vacant land? I have not. We usually use like our own money, or we're using credit cards or something like that to fund these deals. Okay. Oh, I see where you put it into. Thank you. Are there special considerations for those who are considering build to rent, percent to pay for land, sweet spot for houses, land, et cetera, et cetera? Absolutely. And remember earlier when I was talking to you and I told you that I wanted you to look at your own demographic. That's what I'm talking about. Look at your demographic and see what is available and see what kind of buyers you have in your area. The area that I'm working in is more lower income. We have more seniors. And then we also have now that COVID has hit, we have a lot of new folks who are slamming our area from every other part of the country. So we have really quite a mix now of folks. So I want you to go ahead and check your demographic, take a look at it and see what that means for you. Do you use land trusts? Yes, 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 and yes. We buy nothing in our own name, never, ever, never, never, never. And I'll tell you a quick story about that, why we buy in land trust. This is so cool. the piece of land that I bought that we burned. So the morning of the burn, the mayor shows up. Okay, well, that's fine. So he comes over and he's talking to us and he said, so you guys the owner? And I said, no, I said, we represent the owners. And we're here today to make sure that everything goes okie dokie. And what happened was they were trying to lien our piece of property because of that nasty vacant, that piece of nasty house. And they were trying to lien the property because before we bought it, there were like kids playing around on it and it was a hazard, but they couldn't figure out who owned it. Yes. So yes, you absolutely must buy in a land trust. Yes, 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 and yes. All right. Let's see. This is awesome stuff. Yes, it is. Okay. What? No fax number? Good. Great stuff. Who will do financing in land trust? Wow. First of all, I don't use a lot of financing. Okay, I'm sorry. Are you talking about buying a piece of land or selling a piece of land? Okay, so if you're selling a piece of land, buying, absolutely. Every private lender that I work with, number one. Number two, you can buy these pieces of land using your own money. You can use your credit cards. You're not putting out huge dollars here. We're not thinking about houses. We're talking about vacant land. Your investment in these pieces is generally not a whole lot. So we do a lot. We'll buy them with our own money. We'll use our credit cards. I buy them in and out of my Roth IRA all the time. Really great way to build my Roth IRA. So yeah, absolutely. And in my house business, every house I own is in a land trust, and we use private lenders all day long. So that's easy. That's no problem at all. Do we have any other questions? Will the fire department? Yes. Well, sorry. Will the fire department do a burn inside of city limits? Yes, yes, and yes. It's awesome stuff. You need to contact your fire department and talk to them, because what they're doing is they're training new personnel, and a live burn is the only way that they have to really train these folks. Now there are training places where they set fires, but it's not the same as a live fire, you know, with something that's like nasty and old and needs to be demolished. We've actually done fires on condemned houses. So where we've actually burned a condemned house because it was beyond being repaired, and then we put something else on that piece of land. So yes, they will. Do we have any other questions? Yes, no, yes, no. All right. Doesn't look like it. So go to www.vacantlandgold.com. I know that I gave you a lot of information, and some of it is probably foreign to some of our folks here tonight. You need to grab the system while you can get it at $997. It will not be that price after tomorrow evening. Tomorrow, we're gonna let this go, Adrian, till tomorrow night.
Okay.
If they Google me or they go to my website, it will not be that price. It will not include all the awesome bonuses that I've also included for them tonight. So go to www.vacantlandgold.com. You have me for 1 full year to help you with your marketing. You have no excuse not to do this. You have a full year to get a deal done. So awesome. And I thank you so much for having me on the call tonight. This was awesome. It's nice to be home and in a market where I know the market like the back of my hand, you know. Polk County is a lot like the counties that I buy in North Florida.
And we have a lot of vacant land, and I've been starting to see a little bit more coming through from some wholesalers. This is great stuff. Thank you.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, Liz is going to be sending out an email reminder tomorrow as well with the link and everything, and even the recording as well. So people, you talk fast, and there's a lot of information. So some people may have even missed some things.
I'm a New Yorker, so sorry about that. And then I always think, you know, it's a lot of information in a small period of time that the promoters give us. So I'm sorry about that. But Liz did tell me that you guys were going to be recording this and rerunning it. We had a lot of people that were leaving for the Labor Day weekend. So please be one of the first 5. Go ahead and grab your copy. If your sale goes through, if your purchase goes through, you are one of the first 5, you will get all of the bonuses.
That's great stuff. Thank you so much. We
Oh, I appreciate you having me. This has been absolutely awesome.
Thank you. Let's everyone give her a virtual applause. There we go. We got a few cameras on.
Fantastic.
There we go. Chris even turned his camera on for that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Lonnie. She's got her little hand clappers up there.
Awesome.
All right.
Anyone else have any questions for Kathy or any questions in general? A few more minutes on the main meeting here.
So for those of you who are already doing vacant land deals, I hope you have the chance to grab this, because there's a lot of really good information in here. Like I said, on finding the pieces of vacant land, on disclosures and on the contracts, you know, and doing your due diligence. You know, that's huge. I'll tell you a quick story. I had a student of mine in Texas who bought a piece of land sight unseen, which I did not tell him to do. And he bought this piece of land sight unseen. And when he got there and he looked at it, and it was in Texas and he was in Texas, it was loaded with tires. And he was like, uh-oh. And so what he ended up doing, we talked about it a little bit and we threw some ideas around. He ended up using those tires and building berms. And they built like big berms at the back of the property and they turned it into an archery range. So yeah, so that's
Well,
so
great. Yeah.
even a boo-boo can become a good one.
I
So-
bought a piece of vacant land up in where is it, Susan? You know where I'm talking about. It's in another
Inverness, I was
state.
gonna say, wasn't it Inverness?
No, it's north of there. It's I should know where it's at. But
I think I thought it was.
It's about
I'll
2
tell you.
hours north of Lakeland,
Yeah.
and I bought it for a few $100s. I have not.
It's Interlochen.
There we go. There,
I know
Craig
it
knows.
started with an I. Thank you.
Craig knows my business better than I know it.
I know it's.
And I bought it for a few $100s, and I haven't gone through everything. I actually kind of forgot I own it, and everything you gave me
That
some
can
ideas.
happen. And it's because you're buying the land so cheap that you forget that you actually own the thing.
I mean, the guy gave it to us. He owed 10 years of back taxes,
Wow.
$100 a year, and he paid over half of the back taxes to give us the property.
Wow.
He wanted it gone that bad.
Yeah.
So they're out there. If someone
Well,
wants to buy it from
Adrian.
or partner with it to make some money on it,
Adrian,
yeah.
let me recap what I heard you say and put it in my turn, my vernacular. This guy owed $100 a year for 10 years, so owed $1,000 in taxes. He paid $500 of the taxes so that you could just acquire the property, just
Exactly.
have it. So you basically had to pay the other $500 in taxes and you own it.
Exactly. He
Huh.
paid over, because I think I ended up paying 400-ish for the property.
Hmm.
And
We
this came
bought, go ahead.
market. This came in a marketing that did not say I buy land. So I know if I said I bought land, I would probably have more of these.
And we buy a lot of pieces of property, and it's hard for people to understand that unless you do it. But we buy a lot of vacant land from folks who just don't want it. They don't want it. They don't know where it is. Some of them have never been to Florida, and we've bought them for the back taxes. And when you're talking about a half acre piece of land, you're talking about taxes that, like you said, Adrian, 100, 200, 300 bucks a year. Big deal.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying, so the whole lending thing kind of goes out the window, because we're buying the property so inexpensively to start with that we either use cash or credit cards, or like I said, we buy some in and out of the Roths as well.
Well, and to just elaborate on what you're saying, Kathy, is you basically pay your taxes for maybe the people that don't know it, you just go online to the property appraisers and you just pay them online. So before they go to sale, you can, up until that point, they can all be paid online.
Yep, absolutely.
You can even go in person up until the minute they go to sale. Once the sale starts, then that's another deal, but yeah.
Yeah. And then, like I said, that piece that I bought, the 2 acres that I bought, he wanted $1,000 down and $100 a month until it was paid. So owner financing comes into play a lot too.
Absolutely.
Love it. What about impact fees? Do you deal with anything with that, or do you just let the end buyer or whoever's leasing it from you deal with that?
If we have impact fee, it just depends. If we have impact fees, it usually rolls to the buyer.
Okay, you just let them deal with it.
Yeah.
Cool. I love the tip
Well-
of the electric pole, because yeah, I know that's not expensive. I just never want to do it because I didn't think it added value. Like you're saying, it really adds value to it.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way.
And the whole idea of being able to do the burns completely changed the way that we buy vacant land forever. I can't tell. I mean, these are pieces of vacant land that nobody else will touch. You know, are you kidding? What a piece of junk on that thing. And I'm going, yay. Yeah. Because it doesn't cost. Oh, and then you get a tax write-off as a donation. I didn't mention that. So once the burn is done, now you save the money to have that thing demolished or removed. And then you get to take a tax write-off as a donation.
Wow.
Well, not only that, Kathy, is that you don't have to pay the impact fee. So even if you had a single wide on there and you want
Right.
to put another, see, you wanted to keep yours and incorporate it for all the newbies on here though. So let's say whatever it costs impact fees for a single wide, even if you
Right.
put a double wide, you only have to pay the difference
Right.
between the single wide and the double wide, you know, for impact fees. Or if you want to put a house, then you're not responsible for all the impact fees, you know, and then you
Right.
might have some existing, you know, so you're going to save yourself a lot of infrastructure, for lack of a better word. I mean, in
Right.
your case, you were just adding it to what you already had.
Right.
But in a lot of cases, when you get those junky structures on there, you're saving yourself a lot of impact fees. So even if you're buying that and you're for marketing, that's going to be a huge marketing piece. And
Yeah.
it's for those people. And if they don't really want to burn it, or they want to take pictures of it for proof, because sometimes it's within 2 years, you know, then they can save those impact fees, even if it isn't there, as if they can prove that they had it there within 2 years usually. Then they can save that. So it's a definite big marketing, you know, like,
Yeah.
to save people impact fees if they've got a piece.
Exactly.
Property, absolutely.
Susan, you're a little low on volume.
Oh,
You're
my
really
God.
clear, so I don't want you to mess
Yeah, I'm
it
having
up
a hard time
with your-
hearing her too.
Oh, because my microphone is sitting.
There
over
we
to
go.
the
That's
side. My
better.
bad.
Should have called you
My
out
bad.
earlier.
Cool.
I had it sitting over
Thanks,
to the
Adrian.
side. My
Wait.
bad. I had it sitting over to the side.
Wait, did we cut you off? Did you have a question? I thought it was your
Nope.
voice. Nope.
No.
Okay.
I had a question.
Greg, okay.
Oh.
I just recently found out that code enforcement doesn't care how tall your grass is as long as you have over 2 acres. Are any of
Huh.
your parcels smaller than that? And how do you handle the lawn maintenance fees of
There aren't any.
parcels
There aren't any at all.
be-
Every
below 2 acres?
every piece that I own is in a fairly rural area. I've never had it come up. Never had it come up. And most of my pieces of land aren't cleared at all. So it doesn't matter how tall the grass is. Now, if I had one, like I had a piece that was in a subdivision that had a homeowners association, and we sold that piece of land, obviously we kept that one mowed. But most of the vacant land that I'm leasing, that I'm reselling, is vacant land, trees, underbrush, that kind of stuff. We're just not dealing with it. Even on major highways, not having any problem with that at all. But I'm in a fairly rural area. I'm actually buying in Dixie, Levy, and Gilchrist counties in North Florida. Those are my 3 favorites. And we've been buying there for about 15 years now.
Well, we talked a little bit on the last call about the billboard idea. I connected Andrew. He's one of the ones, our corporate sponsors, that couldn't make it on, but I do know a local, they're a small billboard company. So they're not the
Yeah,
Clear Channel, the big ones. They're only in Polk County and then Chicago, oddly enough. But, I have a guy there that I just email him addresses and he tells me yes or no if they can do it. I haven't found one yet, but it's really easy. I shoot an email with an address, and if he says yes one day, I know about how much I can make on it. That's been my plan.
yeah. Well, and in my case, the pieces that I have are on a main highway.
Yeah.
So We have not had that problem arise. Now, there are hoops to jump through on billboards. There are hoops to jump through. It's just one of many ideas for you to lease vacant land. And there, I mean, I just covered a few tonight. There's a ton
Yeah.
more.
Awesome.
I actually have folks who are interested now in leasing to do hemp fields. And I'm looking into that before we do it, but yeah, so we have some that want to lease to do hemp fields, so.
Yeah, security is your issue with when it comes to hemp, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I mean, you
Ah,
Not sure,
security is
not sure we're gonna go there,
huge.
so.
I was
huh.
gonna say one thing, Kathy. I don't know if you probably already thought of this. I don't know, but I was a volunteer firefighter for several years. And when there's a structure that you want to burn down, typically the fire department would love to help you burn it down because they will use it for training.
Yeah,
And so, you know, you become their buddy now. And of course, in those rural places like that, that's critical because, you know, they kind of work on a fire tag and stuff like that. And they'll sit and let your place burn down if you piss them off. But if they're your friend, you're their friend, they'll take good care of you. So keep that in mind in the future. If you have a structure you want to burn down, they'd probably be very happy to use it for training.
to be absolutely honest with you, when we did the first one, which was the piece of land we wanted for ourselves, I was so incredibly impressed with what they were doing that we wrote them a nice size check anyway. And we walked over and handed it to the fire captain. And he goes, "Oh, no, there's no charge to you." I said, "I don't care. I think this is the most amazing thing." They were teaching young people. These kids were like 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. What a good thing for them to be doing instead of out there making trouble. And so, you know, or getting into trouble. I was so impressed. And everything went exactly the way it was supposed to. They even took out a couple trees for us that were close to the house. Those got burned as well, which was awesome. Just gave us more open area. It was absolutely amazing. And we've done it in city now. We've done it down here in Manatee County. You know, same thing, something that is condemned that's just unbuildable, that we can't fix. You're right. And they're so grateful when they have those opportunities.
It's a win-win.
And you're doing a good thing.
Yeah. It's just a win for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
How about illegal dumping? Have you had to deal with that much?
Deal with what?
Illegal dumping on your,
No, we have not. Other than people throwing stuff out the window, like a bag of trash or cups out of their window, something like that, but nothing heavy.
Steve, you have a question. You said, what about Wauchula? And I assume that's county. Do you have more detail on what you're asking?
What about, I saw that. What about Wauchula? It's a great county.
It's in Hardee County, actually, isn't it? Wauchula's in Hardee County, isn't it? It's not, that's not a county, is it? Maybe that's a separate
Sounds
county.
about right. Hardee
Yeah.
County.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is in Hardee County, and Wauchula code enforcement could be, they could be a little tough. I have a client that's had nothing but a nightmare down there.
Well, now there is another county that's Wakulla. I don't know what that is. Oh, that's in a different, yeah, that's in Crawford, Florida. We know, yeah. Crawfordville, Florida is in that. That's spelled it differently. That's a K.
Steve, are you able to unmute yourself, or are you not where you can talk?
He may
Right.
not be in front of, let me
Yeah.
text him.
Okay. Anyone
Yeah,
else have any
okay.
questions? This is good.
I do, actually.
Go ahead, Marie.
I know you mentioned, Kathy, that you had one of your students or someone that became a mentor. How do you go about becoming one, especially me being Hispanic descendant? I would definitely love to tap into becoming a mentor and try to mention this to the Spanish community.
We need to have a different conversation.
I could put my information up for you if you want.
I am the only guru in the country who has a complete marketing system for finding house deals completely in Spanish. And a person like you would be a perfect person on the team to handle as a translator and all of that. So basically all of my marketing pieces are in English and in Spanish in the manuals so that they can tell exactly what they're looking at, because I don't speak a word of Spanish either. And we work in the Spanish marketplace every single day in our business. So that's a whole different conversation. But
I
yeah,
just put my phone number over there. If you want, feel free to.
yeah, go ahead and grab it.
Okay, I have Steve's question. I called him. Yeah, it was the county that I said. It was the WAK, and he was wondering what you thought in the Crawfordville. Were you familiar with that? He said it's very rural, and what did you think about that? Were you familiar with that area? It's very rural, and did you think it was mineable?
I think the more rural the county, the better deals you're going to make. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And
That
I
happens.
talk about that in my system, whether they're buying in suburban, urban, very rural areas. Where I am buying is very rural for the most part. We've bought some here in Manatee County, but for the majority of what I'm doing, I'm in Dixie, Gilchrist, Levy, and it's very, very rural. And I love it because the towns are easier to work with. So getting zoning changed and being able to having a little bit more flexibility is a lot better for us, we found.
Gotcha. Okay. Understood.
Okay.
That's excellent. Did we get all the questions?
Do you
Vicky?
see the question in the Kathy from Ginger? She's asking
Yep, I'm
about.
looking at it. Yep. I
Okay.
have a half an acre commercial lot next to an RV retailer and close to restaurants and off the highway. How can I market to do a lease? Realtor, signage, talk to your neighbors, all the things that we talked about tonight. Absolutely. That should be an easy one. That should be a really easy one.
She said she had it listed with a realtor, no success. Am I assuming then that it's not a great realtor, strange realtor, so the price is wrong?
Well, she had it for sale though. She didn't have it for lease.
Oh, okay.
So what would you recommend to like change it from being for sale to be for lease? What would be like, yeah, because she had it for sale, not for lease.
Okay, so are we selling or leasing? If she's selling the lot, whether she's selling or leasing, the first thing she needs to do is talk to the neighbor. Especially the RV retailer, because it's possible that RV retailer needs more space. And then see what's on the other side of it and talk to those neighbors first. That's your starting point is to talk to those neighbors, get signage out there, get ads going, put it on Craigslist, put it on some of the websites that I gave you earlier. There's a lot of great ways to lease a piece of vacant land. It's especially commercial. That's not that hard. Yeah, if it's a half an acre, it's not large enough to do the commercial that I'm thinking of. They need more room than that because they're putting up like a single retail building kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would run ads. First thing I do is talk to the neighbors, talk to the two businesses that are on both sides of you.
An example of that, my dad has some land, him and a friend in Plant City, and John Deere's next door. And it's not consistent that they rent some from them, but they get too many tractors in.
Exactly.
And tractors are massive and they need somewhere to put 6 tractors and they just need to park them there. And so they go and rent it from them because, they're making $500,000 on some of these tractors.
Yep. Those are the temporary leases that okay. So that's another idea for those temporary leases that I was talking about earlier. Exactly that. And that's kind of like parking, really.
Yeah.
There are so many opportunities with vacant land. It's crazy.
Do you get any insurance, like a liability insurance when you're doing stuff like that?
I don't.
Okay.
We have not yet at this point, haven't had any problem with that at all. So folks, go to www.vacantlandgold.com. Go ahead and grab the system. Use the coupon code VACANT. You're going to get another $200 off, making your investment $997. You will not have this opportunity again. So go ahead and grab it while you've got the chance to grab the system, and you have me to work with for 1 full year. So if you have not already grabbed it, you absolutely need to do that while we're on the call tonight, because
Well,
I know, and it's
kind of
hard with
piggybacking
vacant
off
land when they haven't done a vacant land deal yet, because it's like a blow them away kind of a thing, you know, and
what Adrian asked. So if you don't have insurance, do you require them to have it? The tenant to
it
cover you?
depends, it totally depends on what they're doing.
Gotcha.
If they put a home on my property, absolutely. If they're putting a worm farm on my property, no. So it just depends.
I don't know, those worms could be a little rowdy sometimes.
I'm just saying, it just depends. The
Makes
company,
sense.
the landscape company, they carry liability, even though they're just putting railroad ties. That's what it was. So they're using stone and railroad ties and stuff like that. And they've got it fenced in. I mean, they put that like the cyclone fencing around it so that it's fenced in. So they carry liability. It just depends on what's going to happen with the piece of vacant land.
Funny, because I wanted to lease out part of my land that I live on with somebody that was looking for a landscape company. They needed land to put raw materials. Like, I have 2 acres. That's all I have. But hey,
Yeah,
money's money, and they need land.
exactly. Yeah, and just like the urban nurseries, what they need is space. They're not actually putting the plants in the ground. These are potted plants that are growing from like little tiny guys into bigger guys. And so they need space. And, you know, for them to have a piece of vacant land handy for them to be able to do that is amazing. So there are just so many opportunities. Biggest thing I can tell you is check your demographic. What's happening in your demographic, you know, and what types of deals can you focus on? Getting the vacant land, believe me, that's the easy part. It's not like a house. I mean, it's not like you're dealing with, you know, offers against 10 other investors and stuff like that. It's not like that. Vacant land is a completely different animal. And I know that it scares the fire out of some of you. But, you know, go ahead, grab the system. Let me help you move forward in your business, because it's amazing. And it's a whole nother stream of income that there's no competition for. There just isn't.
Just one quick question, and only because trial by fire, I did this and I'm pretty, because I lived in Polk City, is how do you, and just for the newbies that are on here, how do you eliminate those properties for lack of, a lot of them are like, they have limitations is like 1 per 20 here in Polk County where we are, but how do you eliminate those ones that have like the green swamp and where you can't cut the trees, or how do you eliminate those like on a larger scale, or do you?
Due diligence.
That's in your.
Okay, so you're going to do the mailings that I've already told you to do. You're going to work with the distressed sellers. You're going to be working with past due tax bills, all of those kinds of things. Actually, if you look at your past due tax bill, you're going to see exactly where that property is. I'm sorry, the tax bill list that shows up in your newspaper. It's really, really easy to get those lists, and it's real easy to see what you're mailing to.
Got you. All right, thank you. It was great. It was wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thank
I
you,
hope
Kathy.
stay on with us.
So, if everyone wants to make sure that you save that link there, get over there.
Yes, absolutely.
By tomorrow night at the latest,
Yep.
so you can check it out, because the promo code goes away
Right.
Absolutely.
tomorrow night.
You don't want to
Correct.
miss out.
And
The
the whole
bridges
deal's
are in-
laid out for them. So even after, because we gave them a whole bunch of stuff and I tell them what's in there. So the whole deal is laid out so they can reread and really look at what they're getting with the system. It's a complete system to buy, sell, and lease vacant land.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Awesome.
Thank you, Kathy. I need to ask you to, since you are the host, I had to make you, could you hit stop on the record or make me co-host?
Where is it?
You can make me co-host by clicking on my name and hit more, or
Oh, pause, stop recording. Got it.
yeah.